Jack Daniels.
Dude, I really do think that you have a lot to be positive about.
Well, I'm joking, by the way. I'm not actually drinking Jack Daniels. I don't have that kind of stomach tonight. I guess what I'm drinking today, I'm drinking Perpetual IPA from Treg's. But I'll tell you what, I feel like drinking something a lot stronger. And as far as the Bengals, having a lot to be excited about, I mean, sure, yeah, but there's nothing that you can point out from that game that, I mean, except for maybe like Joe Burrow played pretty good outside of the 2 interceptions. Outside of that, there's nothing for the Bengals to feel good about in that game. That was just a complete crap show, all across the board. Like what? What did they do? Other than like Joe Burrow had some good plays.
But like
Joe Mixon had a good game.
Don't y'all have a bye week next week?
Yeah.
So I mean, like, so y'all going to the bye at 5-4.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. That's compared to where we thought we'd be. That's nice.
Well, no, because here's the thing though, and we're gonna get to this. We're gonna get the reason why I said what I said is because when I'm looking at this, see, like, cause like Kyle, like, all right, so like you gotta always think about how I don't know if you caught on to this about me yet or not, but I look at things at their potential, not at what they are. So
well, yeah, as a Browns fan, I'd imagine you're used to that.
But that's what I always do. I'm always looking at stuff down the line. I'm never looking at what is something now. I'm always looking 2-3 moves ahead.
Okay, but so the problem is they're supposed to be good now. They went out and they blew out the Ravens 2 weeks ago. Now they lost to the Jets and they got blown out. It's not that the Browns are a terrible team to lose to. If it had been a close loss, nobody'd be feeling like the sky's falling in Cincinnati. The reason everybody's upset is because we got smacked 41-16 in our own house. That's why everybody's upset.
But see, like, you just sit there on a coffin. You say it feels like the sky is falling.
But yes, the sky is not falling. No, it's not. I'm not here to say that.
That's what I'm getting at, because that's the whole thing about football, though, because football is the only sport where you only play one game a week. So, like, it's not like in basketball or baseball, you have a bad game, you get kicked around, you just come back and just win the next day or something like that. You got to wait a whole week. So,
you have a lot less breathing room because you only have 17 games.
Yeah, you only have 17 games. So everything is condensed more. Now here's the positive thing. You're going to bye. You got a 5-4, and when I say you got to look at how things are going to be, what the Bengals are doing. What I mean by that is the Bengals' play style is sustainable. Their way of scoring, their way of winning.
Defense, it ain't.
Well, no, but who knows? That defense could gel. That defense could get better as they get colder.
Well, and they were better earlier. That's the infuriating.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
They just randomly like it seems like whoever I forget the name of the Jets defensive coordinator. No, the offensive coordinator, Mike LaFleur. So it seems like Mike LaFleur figured out the Bengals defense, and they can't. And then the Browns figured out based on what the Jets did. And the Browns did a little bit more. They took a few more shots downfield. But the point being that this defense just looks like a catastrophe, the same kind of catastrophe that everybody thought that we were going to see at the beginning of the season. So the first 7 weeks was great, but it's just like it looks like they've regressed now.
Well, okay, so look, all right, so I'm sitting here watching it, right? And so the whole thing is that so you have a great quarterback. You have not a good quarterback, a great quarterback. He
needs to work on the interceptions, but other than that,
he does need to work on interceptions, but that'll come with time. You have a great quarterback. You have generational talent. You have a generational talent at receiver. You have a really good running back. And you have a really good.
It sure didn't look like it on Sunday.
Well, I mean, there was that whole Myles Garrett, Jadeveon Clowney thing.
No. Jamar Chase didn't look like it on Sunday.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
Jamar Chase looked like everything that we were worried about in the preseason.
That's because they bullied him, man. Honestly,
That shouldn't matter at all. Joe Burrow threw a dime to him for what should have been like an 80-yard touchdown, and he drops it. Just stone cold drop. T. Higgins did the same thing. Now, not for like an 80-yard touchdown, but he had one in the end zone. Jamar Chase and T. Higgins both had touchdowns in the end zone that would have gone to the end zone. And that would have changed the whole complexity of this game. And then you also want to take in that random ass pick six Joe Burrow threw at the beginning at the end of the first drive. And I know you think that Denzel Ward made a good play, and Denzel Ward did make a good play.
Denzel Ward made a great play.
It was also a horrible throw by Joe Burrow. You can't throw it there because that's the only place from where Denzel Ward was on that play. That's the only place Joe Burrow could have thrown it to where Denzel Ward would have had a chance to pick it. You cannot throw it there, Joe Burrow. I don't know what you're doing. And so the thing is, you take that T. Higgins touchdown off the board, you take that Jamar Chase touchdown off the board, and then you have that 14-point swing at the beginning of the game. Suddenly, this is a ball game. If those three plays don't happen, or if those three plays get reversed, then this turns into the shootout that me and you were talking about at the beginning when we were on the Battle of Ohio podcast live at Bengal Jim's tailgate. We thought it was going to be a shootout, and it would have been if like just a couple of stupid things hadn't happened. We would have gotten a good game, but they just dropped it through their fingers.
I think the Browns defense deserved a little bit more credit than that. The Browns defense did look pretty good.
The Browns defense played great. I am not trying to take a single thing around from the Browns team overall.
Can I say this though?
I'm just saying that the Bengals completely crapped the bed. The Browns did a really good job of putting them away. The Browns did a really good job of punishing them for the mistakes that they made. But I'm just saying that it takes two to tango. And in this particular case, that game is not as bad of a blowout if the Bengals play better. And that Browns defense... I mean, I'm not saying the Browns defense doesn't get stuff done, but the Bengals were playing really well against them on the majority of the plays. You know, they were driving down the field. It was just some crazy stuff that happened that kind of turned that game on its head. But for the most part, I mean, you saw especially those first two drives. The Bengals were basically unstoppable on those first two drives. You know, they were just driving down the field. Joe Burrow throws that pick six, drives him back down the field, and goes and gets a touchdown. So, yeah, the Browns defense did not really play that great at the beginning of the game. And Myles Garrett had a good game. Denzel Ward kind of looks like he had a good game, but in reality, he benefited from partially him doing a really good job, and also partially Joe Burrow making a really bad throw.
He had a 99-yard touch, and then he had a break, and then he broke up another pass that led to another interception. Though he had a deflection that led to an interception.
Was he responsible for that interception? I don't quite remember that particular. You're acting like I'm saying Denzel Ward didn't have a good game. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying Joe Burrow was bad on those plays.
Look, Kyle, I 120% get what you're getting at. But honestly, I just think that it was just a perfect storm on things that we just did not think about. Hindsight, I didn't think about. I didn't realize the Bengals were going into a bye. Mm-hmm. I don't know why that always messes with me when I'm looking at football games. There's something about teams going to buys. I don't know what it is. It's really hard to like I ain't saying I don't know statistics. I just know a lot of teams tend to lose before a bye. It's very common that teams come off flowers right before a bye.
Well, it's very common for the Bengals, like historically, ever since Marvin Lewis came to town. Historically, it's been a trend. I don't know exactly what the numbers are, exactly what their record is, because I haven't looked it up in a few years. But after a bye week, the Bengals are really have a really bad win-loss rate. After the bye week. So I mean,
after or before.
After. Now, granted, we're talking about a trend that was mainly Marvin Lewis's trend, and then obviously the trend continued with Zach Taylor, but that's because the team was so bad. So you really don't know what you're getting. I'm not saying they're going to lose after the bye week this week. I'm just saying if we're talking about the bye week, that's a trend that exists for the Bengals when it comes to the bye week.
So, you want to hear positivity for the Bengals before we go on my Browns?
You say whatever you want to say positive about the Bengals. I don't feel horrible about the Bengals. I think they had a really bad game, but I'm not jumping ship or anything like that. I'm not saying the season's over.
So you shouldn't, and I'm happy you're not. I'm happy you're not on here saying. I'm happy you're saying positive about this. I still think the Bengals are going to make a long run. I think that this is going to be. I don't think that we can beat this team twice. or I think we can, but I think it's gonna be hard to. Because the Bengals are a team that Bengals are a young team, and they're doing the same thing. They're going with the same thing Browns are going through, trial and error. And this is one thing about the NFL. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they did not look like a Super Bowl winning team until like week 12 last year. People forget about how slow their start was last year and how they just kind of treaded water for the most part, and they was mediocre for the majority of the season until after the bye. It was after the bye where they just took off, right? So now the Bengals lost to the Browns. Fine. The Bills lost to the Jaguars. The Kansas City Chiefs barely beat the Aaron Rodgers-less Packers. This is a very competitive NFL. This is a very competitive AFC. The NFL is very diverse, and it's more diverse than it's ever been before. The Bengals have a generational talent at receiver and a generational talent at quarterback. They will be fine. They're going to go into this bye.
I actually just looked it up, and you made a startlingly good point. I didn't realize it actually lined up this closely. But now the Tampa Bay Buccaneers didn't go on bye until week 13 last year, so there's a little bit of a difference there. But here's the thing: they started out 6-2 last year. They did get off to a really hot start. You know, they lost their first game, they won 3 in a row. They lost their 5th game, then they won 3 in a row, and then they lost 3 out of their next 4 heading into the bye. Very similar to what the Bengals are dealing with right now, losing 2 games ahead of going into the bye. But before that, they started off 5-2 before that. So very similar to what you're talking about with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now the Tampa Bay Buccaneers went on to not lose another game the entire season. Now I don't know if the Bengals are not going to lose an entire game the rest of the season. That would be a little ridiculous. But I will say everybody's talked a lot about. And we'll talk about this more on the next episode because it's the bye week and we'll be talking about what's coming up and stuff like that. But I will say real quick, just noting the rest of the schedule. Everybody's talked about how hard the Bengals' second half of the schedule is, but the way the season's actually been playing out, I think there's maybe 2 or 3 teams that are oh, that's going to be a tough game. And other than that, it's I don't know, man. Look at all the problems the Raiders been having. They just cut Damon Arnett. And that's the third major controversy they've had in the last 4 weeks. So I don't know. It's hard to juggle that many distractions.
They're going to pick up Odell, so that's another distraction they're going to have.
You think they're going to pick up Odell?
I can see it happening. Yes.
I was somebody asked the question on Twitter, which would be the best place for Odell to go to, and I actually said the Raiders because that would make sense. He needs to go somewhere where they're having issues with health at wide receiver and somewhere where he can be the number 1 guy. A lot of Bengals fans were saying, "Hey, Bengals, you should go get Odell Beckham Jr." And I'm like, "Are you out of your mind?" He's gonna have the same problem he had in Cleveland. Where he wasn't getting enough targets, and then he turns into a crybaby about it.
So y'all get 2 weeks to prepare for the Raiders. That's more than enough time for the Raiders. They got the Steelers. They're going to embarrass the Steelers. The Chargers aren't, like you said, the Chargers aren't as good as they were, but it's still a good team. The 49ers, you know what somebody said on the radio about the 49ers?
What's that?
Is that they have the 49ers got a coach that had 1 good season and been riding that 1 good season. But honestly, he gets more pass than any other coach in the entire NFL.
Because he's really smart. But the main reason he gets really a lot of pass, because he's really smart, he also gets a pass because the 49ers have just been the most injured team of all time over the past 2 years.
There was that offense that he ran in Atlanta. Well, he was the reason why Atlanta went to the Super Bowl. Let's be real, because Atlanta hasn't been good ever since he left.
Well, yeah, but I mean, at the same time. I know the defense gets a lot of the blame for 28-3, but at the same time, don't forget that offense didn't score again after they were up 28-3.
Just true. Very true.
That offense could have 1 field goal would have won that game.
The Chiefs aren't as good as they were. The Ravens, by the 26th of December, the Ravens are not going to be the Ravens. And we're going to get to that. I got something to say about the Ravens and the Steelers. The whole thing is that I think the defense could bounce back for the Bengals. I think the defense could get back to respectable. I think the defense could get back to where they need to get to, where they could get timely stops. And on top of that, I think that the receivers are going to explode. And with the AFC being as competitive as it is, anybody can lose in any week. You're going to see the AFC beat up on each other. And there might be a little bit more wiggle room than we think it is. I just think that it looks intimidating because you got a lot of good teams on the top, but those teams got to play each other. So it has to balance out. It naturally has to balance out. My point is because because the Bengals is easily finish ahead of the Browns. Easily. Y'all can beat us on the first, and a whole bunch of stuff can happen. Y'all can easily finish in front of us.